What's going on, everybody? Just want to welcome you to the first episode of the Standard American. So, I guess you can consider this a transition from our daily lives, just going live every day, consistently, randomly, with no structure, to now going live every day, consistently, with structure. Okay? So, I'm going to make this simple, hopefully not too long. I'm thinking of doing this every day, but that might be a lot. I don't know if it's overcommitting. But anyway, here I am. Okay, so essentially the purpose of this show is to talk about you, talk about me, talk about both of our sides, the winner and the loser inside of us. And I just want to make it known that the enemy, if I ever say they, right? Like I'm referring to other people because you and I are not they, because you and I are striving to not be they. However, that's not pretentious in saying that you and I are special because you and I could be they, which means losers. We're not trying to be losers. I'm not trying to be a loser of a man. Okay. I'm not trying to be physically weak, mentally weak, financially weak, socially weak. Okay. What does that mean? Weakness, right? Well, if you know anything about evolution, survival of the fittest means the weakest usually get culled off. Okay. So we don't want to do that. Even though it's extremely easy to be complacent and comfortable in society, it's really easy to become weak. And a lot of us have become weak. I'm weak in a lot of different ways. And you guys see that. Okay, so that's the whole purpose of the show, is just to talk about it. So the title of this first episode is The Rise of Weakness in Men. Okay, and it's noticing the weakening. Okay, so essentially I was just on ChatGPT and I was just looking up like different facts, and so like here's a spiritual fact, right? And take it for for what you want. It might not be a fact or data precisely from the whatever .gov government site, right? I'm talking about concepts. I'm talking about patterns. I'm talking about things that happen on a recurring basis. And I can't see your questions or comments right now. After a few episodes, hopefully I'll have like a streaming software and I can show you guys what I'm looking at on my screen and stuff. But for right now, you're just gonna have to look at my ugly face and this background that I got going on for you guys. So hopefully you can see me with the lighting. Okay, so spiritual fact is in 2000s, 70% of men were spiritual. As of today, it's 47%. Okay, so that's about a 30% decrease in religiosity or spirituality. Okay, so there's a factoid for you. Okay, physical fact. It's not really a fact. It's more just a noticing, right? It's like how come someone invented the gymnasium? How come gyms are a thing? Right? It's because it's the counterculture, right? If the culture we're no longer hunter gatherers. We have couches, we have roofs, we have refrigerators, we have AC, air conditioning, right? And all of that has caused us to become weak to the point where people are like, I need to get out, I need to lift weights, and so we invent the gym, right? Okay, so that's how. Just be aware of how things are making you weak. Okay, physical, mental, and emotional. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, right? Like mental and emotional. I think especially men who fall into this modernity category, which I'll get into in a minute. There's words for them. Have you ever heard the word soy boy? Okay, or like soft boy. Okay, or uh, just all these like feminine terms for men. And it's like, yeah, men are transgender, they're gay, they're yeah, they identify as this, they identify as that. And it's like, why? Well, and I know why. I know why you say why. But your words are lies. People lie, right? People lie all the time. Not everyone, that's actually something I've been working on myself, which is like, some people communicate and focus more on communication through actions. It's really interesting because like I like to like speak my way into something and then follow up with actions, right? So like I don't want to get too much of a tangent. Anyway, that's a mental and emotional fact. All right, social. Like, look at it, dude. We're all isolated. Like, look at me, dude. Like, I'm pretty bad when it comes to social interactions. Like, I just don't like groups. I don't like big crowds. I don't like groups. Like, I've always, my whole life, only liked interaction. Like, just like one-on-one time with people. Like I've always had like best friends, like as guys, right? I've never had like I've had a couple like groups of friends, like friend groups back in high school, but like that's like the peak of my social life was like all that stuff. And even then, it was really uncomfortable, and I distanced myself from all of them, and I'm not friends with any of them individually. But people that I do make friends with on an individual basis, it doesn't really matter. Okay, we're isolated as people, right? We're isolated, and so like, why? Why is that? I mean, yeah, screens, this, that, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter the cause. What matters is that we don't continue falling into what is causing it. Okay, so that was just the opening. Let's talk about some insights: conformity and modernity. Okay, so I think this is kind of the key to weakening. Let's just start with conformity. Like, what is conformity? So, for example, like doing what you should do, right? I've talked about this a couple of days ago, and this is a big one. We all have to deal with this. Oh, I should go to school. I should be a doctor. I should be a millionaire. I should live in this state. I should do this. I should buy this car. And we're constantly looking to other people like, oh, like, do they like me? Do they approve of this? Oh, if not, then I shouldn't do that. Or if I should do this, I should. Oh man, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Like, that is conformity. Conform. It's like, oh, well, I just graduated high school. Or it's like, I'm a, sophomore or a junior in high school. I better start looking for colleges because that's what everyone else is doing. Right. It's like, and that's so predatory because it's, yeah, I mean, in high school you're definitely going to be falling in line with everyone else, but and especially like if your parents, they mean well, but they usually don't know. They don't know. They're not keeping up with the current times. They're not keeping up, like, people are like, oh, you'll never make it gaming, like, and now there's like professional gamers and stuff. Like, it takes them a decade and a half to catch up. So don't conform to people don't conform to anyone. Don't conform to anyone but God. Okay. Pick something higher than yourself and conform to that. Okay. Outside of conformity, we have modernity. Modernity. Hmm. I mean, the ultimate weakness, right, is like human evolution. I mean, if you're on the bleeding edge of human evolution, it's like, well, what's the point of traditionalism, right? It's like, what's the point of like the bleeding edge of human evolution 2 years ago was to accept that if you're a man and you feel like a woman and you want people to call you a woman, then that's modernity. That's the bleeding edge of human evolution. Except history and time doesn't work on a day-to-day basis or a year-to-year basis. It's on a long time frame. So while you might think you're like doing the right thing leaning into that might take like 20 or 30 years for reality to catch up. Then all of a sudden it's like you've been living this whole lie. You're incapable of doing anything now. I'm not just talking about like, transgenderism. I'm not just talking about, any one specific thing. I'm literally talking about anything that's like modern, right? I mean, like you might think that, oh, yeah, it's so modern to go to university, but like if you go to university nowadays, like you're pretty much not gonna win in life. Like if you went to university 100 years ago, you'll probably win. But it's become such a multi-level marketing scheme, university system, and that's what Charlie Kirk was saying is like it's a scam, like blah 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 blah, and like but I mean it's a cult because people are like trying to defend it, like no, it's not. You're saying I pay $100,000 for a scam? It's like, yeah, it's a good scam. Like It's a good scam. Like, it's been around for hundreds of years, and like it's a great power system. It's education system. It's like a, and so you would assume that that someone that was probably born way before us took advantage of that power system for their own profit. That's just what the human condition does. And so here we are, at the beginning stages of any movement, or at the beginning stages of anything that's being developed, it's like the most pure intentions, right? Like, for example, like America, when America was built, like, dude, we all know the story of America, how these farmers came over from Britain, started these colonies and then fought for independence and stuff. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Like, that's like the most pure Americans we will ever have on earth. Extrapolate that out 250 years, we still have the same ethos, but the types of people that are in this country are definitely not the types of people that built this country. Okay, the university system, it's like, yeah, universities are, it was a great concept. It's a great thing. All university is, it's like higher education. So it's an order. It's a structured order to teach you a certain set of things specifically in one specific field, right? Like, that's like, if you want to be like a doctor, what kind of doctor? Okay, you want to be like a neuro surgeon, whatever, right? Right. So it's for specializing. Except I'm not going to get too into the weeds with college and stuff, but everything in society, dating. Look at dating apps. Like, if you're on that, you're conforming. Your modernity, you're weak. University, I mean, that's kind of up in the air, I guess. Like, if you play your cards right, you can meet the right people, but not likely. Like, a lot of people like to say that, oh, it's like, that's why I developed my social life, was in college. It's like, okay, go on the street and develop a social life. Like, that's not an argument. Anyway. Okay, blueprint. Okay, so number 3, that was insights on conformity and modernity. Number 3, I'm going to open this up to a Q&A here in just a couple minutes. But all right, so how do we combat this? How do we combat conformity and modernity? Okay, sovereignty. Sovereignty, personal sovereignty. What is personal sovereignty? Well, let's use Bitcoin as an example, because that's money, right? We're not talking about fitness. We're not talking about business. We're not talking about relationships. We're talking about money. So Bitcoin is essentially the digitization of money. It's the most modern, secure, decentralized version of money. And so what does that mean? It's like, okay, so if you have Bitcoin, well, ideally, if you have Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency, you're going to hold that in a wallet, and you are your own bank, right? So the bank can't seize your funds. If you have your stuff at Bank of America or at Chase, like, they can just freeze your account, whatever. Oh, it's like, oh, it's FDIC insured for up to $250,000. But it's like, that's the whole reason kind of Bitcoin came into play, was because, like, you don't have control over your money. Now, if you have your Bitcoin on exchanges, same thing. You don't have control over your Bitcoin. But it's the concept, right? The concept is like decentralized power. Okay. How was I tying that back in? Yeah, money, Bitcoin. It just comes down to sovereignty. That's what it is. It's like, sure, your money in the banks have been secure. You haven't had a problem with them, well, except maybe back in 2008, right, where they're the ones that pretty much collapsed the global economy, the United States economy, right, was banks and bankers, and then we had to bail them out, the United States taxpayer, United States citizen. And so it might seem good because that's what they do. I mean, that's why banks make so much money. That's why the banking industry is like, they're a good central authority of power. Like, they do a good job of handling our money, but it's still their money, right? And so with Bitcoin, yes, you have sovereignty, but you also have responsibility. Meaning, if you lose your hardware wallet, if you lose, the little wallet, the little hard drive that your cryptocurrency is on, tough luck, dude. Like, we've all heard stories of people losing 100 million, 500 million, whatever, when they bought like 10,000 Bitcoin back in 2010. But it's like, yeah, that's the responsibility that it comes with. It's like, yeah, you're not going to get hacked. or you could if you have it like on exchanges or something, right? But if you're playing it secure, you're fully sovereign. You have full control, and nobody can take your money. That money's not going anywhere, and you can still plug it into the internet pretty much anywhere around the globe and use it as currency to buy real things from real people. And so that's just one example of sovereignty. So how can we bring that into our own lives, right? It's the concept of like, why does Bitcoin exist? Why is everyone talking about Bitcoin? Sovereignty of money. Okay. Now let's bring this back into sovereignty of self, right? So focus only on what you can control and then max it out. Okay. So you guys, for example, have seen me doing this fitness stuff, working out, doing this YouTube stuff. Let's just take fitness, for example. Like that first time I lost that weight, I didn't really have, well, I was going to school. I was going to raves and stuff, and I was working. But yeah, what was I gonna say? That's what all I can control, It's like try to focus on things that you can control, which is, I mean, yeah, I mean that depends. Some would argue that the only thing you control is like the internals. I think a lot of like powerful and successful people try to control their externals to have control of their internals. Meaning like I'm gonna force this person to give me what I want so that I can calm down, as opposed to being able to learn how to calm down without needing to go externally, right? And I think the two play hand in hand. So it's like control your internals. I know you don't want to go to the gym, but go to the gym. Go to the gym. That's going to control your internals. Then you go to the gym, you get a hard pump, get a hard workout, and then that external action then controls your internals. Now it's like this whole like feedback loop of like, oh, you feel this, like you take this action, now you're feeling this, whatever. So it's like internal, external, internal, external, internal, external. So look at the things that you're doing that are causing you, because you're not gonna be conscious of this most of the time, right? Like look at the things that are making you weaker. Look at the things that you're doing, like not going to the gym. Like if you're not going to the gym at least 3 times a week, like start there. Anyone can start there. So sovereignty, take control of what you can. Stop worrying about politics. Stop worrying about creators on social media. Stop worrying about, famous people or the state of the world or, like what war we're in. Stop worrying about all that. You can't control that. Like none of it. Not like the people, like your friends, your family, like screw them, bro. Like have fun with them, smile, laugh with them. But like any time outside of that, like improve yourself, focus on what you can. Right. And so just to finish this off, I think that's like Andrew Tate is all about controlling your externals, right? So he's about the same thing, which is sovereignty. Take control of your life. Okay. Except he doesn't have any ethics or morals. Unless it has to do with him saving himself from the judiciary system in whichever country. And so, I mean, it's cool. Like, dude's got a Bugatti, right? Like, it's dope, right? But like, no respect, no respect to that. I mean, that's weak. That's evil, right? It's like anyone can be evil. Anyone can be evil and like force things into reality. I don't think that's the best way to live. I really don't, because I've lived like that and I've done exactly that. And I'll tell you what, it is the furthest away you can be from God. And that's not a place you ever want to be. I'll tell you that. Okay. Number 4, clip reaction. So, okay. Yeah. So what makes a man toxic? I was going to have a clip ready for you guys to play, but I don't know the tech to have that set up yet. Anyway, I'm just going to talk about it. Like, what makes a man toxic? Okay. Because like, I know we had this conversation culturally like years ago, but I think we need to kind of clarify what exactly makes a man toxic, because it's not the argument. I feel like the argument just went from like men are toxic to like, oh no, they're not. Like this is why, and I don't know. I think we just need some more conversation around that. So Yeah, especially because like guys, I can tell myself, I can tell a lot of guys are, they self-censor. That's a big problem, is like self-censoring and conforming to modernity. All of this is perfect. Like you conform just because like, I don't know, like a bunch of girls are, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know. What makes a man toxic? Weakness. Weakness, conformity makes a man toxic. Mm, yeah, like it's like we all know men have, are physically more capable than women, like violent, stronger, faster, just physically, right? Well, unless it comes to having a baby, then men are pretty incompetent when it comes to that. But we all know that men are pretty physically competent, and so if he doesn't learn how to control that, well, that's not what you want. You don't want that. You don't want a big, strong, scary man who can't control his physicality, right? Okay. So you want a man who can control that. Okay. What makes a man toxic? It's really just weakness. It's separation from God. That's what makes a man toxic. I mean, I'm trying to think like is that a good argument to say, like just because I mean the guy like I'm the most talked about man in the world. It's like, okay, then let's talk about you. Is Andrew Tate toxic? Yeah, for sure. Oh, absolutely for sure. Because of the weakness. We're all weak. We're all weak. We all have weaknesses, and just because you overcompensate and act like you're strong doesn't mean you're not weak. Matter of fact, the strength is the weakness. It's very telling. The overcompensation. I don't think it sounds like he's never alone. I'm always alone. I guarantee you, if Andrew Tate spent as much time in solitary confinement of his own mind like I do, he wouldn't make it a day. So yeah, I think that's weak. Constantly having to be around people because you can't be alone. Having to use women to make money and then excuse it by saying, "Oh, blah 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 blah." Yeah, and then I mean, it sounds like he made a ton of money, like hundreds of millions of dollars, selling his little university program, right? Which I'm not all too sure what's in there. I haven't bought it, but I would imagine it's probably just a sophisticated online course, right? With a brand, and that brand being Andrew Tate's course. But it's all about escaping the matrix. Escape the matrix. But essentially, yeah, take control, be a man. But yeah, that's like an outdated version of masculinity. I think that's like because it is, I see where he's trying to get, but it's outdated. It's not going to survive. I don't think that would survive. Hmm. Unless he becomes a lot more empathetic. I think things are changing away from that type of masculinity, although it's less toxic than a lot of weaker men who don't stand up for themselves, who don't train themselves, who don't take care of themselves. Like they are like it's not good leaders. I mean that. So like, what is a toxic man? Is it's not a man you wouldn't want to follow as a leader, right? And so there's that, yeah, and that makes sense. Like there's aspects to Andrew Tate that I would follow, and I agree with. I'm not going to follow because I've already, I understand where it's coming from, but at the same time, it's more nuanced than that. It's like, yeah, okay, it's going to be harder to ethically, you know, to ethically have children, to ethically make money, to ethically do whatever to attain power. Sure, it'll be harder. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it less weak, right? Is not doing the easy thing. That's what I think, at least. If you have an argument, go ahead. Let me know. Okay, number 5 is action. Okay, so replace one bad habit with walking. that's my focus for this week, is stopping one of my bad habits that I do almost every day and replacing that with walking. So anytime I get the urge to do this or the thought to do this, it's I have to get out and walk. And that's another thing I've been working on, is trying to get out of my house. Try not to be indoors. Try to be outdoors as often as you can. Like if you're under 40 years old or under 30 years old, get outside as often as you can. Don't be inside. Don't be playing video games. Don't be watching TV. Like I wish I did this sooner, because like you see people, you smell things, you remember things, you hear conversations that just like that keep your brain activity going, and like it just, your life moves so much faster, because like just like that 6 months of playing CS:GO, like you go clock into work, you come home, you play CS:GO, just like that, like 6 months, a year, 3 years pass by, you haven't dated anyone, you haven't built anything, you're not doing anything, and it's like get out of that comfort zone, man. Get out of that comfort zone. So that's what I'm doing. I'm replacing one bad habit with walking. Okay, that's what I would recommend for you guys. All right. Let's go to some question and answer. I'm going to try and open up my YouTube right here, see if I can see it. So if you guys have, let's see, if I go to my channel, can I watch me live? Hey, I can watch me live. All right. Uh-oh. Okay. All right, open panel. Oh, why can't I see it? I don't know. Do we have chats on here or no? Let me check my computer or my phone. Hello. What happened to the channel? What happened to the channel? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking, but I stopped making videos. That's what happened. So, but I'm back. I'm back making videos, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. We're getting some structure, trying to get this down, figure out all the technicalities of this and whatnot. But that's too bad. I can't see the questions. I wonder if I go to YouTube Studio. Anyway. Content live. Can I see your comments or no? Dude, how do I? I don't know how this works, but all right, I'm just gonna flip the camera around so I can see you guys. You guys can see me. Well, I think that was a good start for today. So I'm just gonna end it there. Hope y'all have a great day.